2018. We are so happy that you can join us. It's a new season and a lot of excitement with the 14-year head coach at Rutgers, Glenn Crooks. I'm Lisa Byington, and Glenn, we have a couple teams that were over 500 in the non-conference. They're optimistic now to start Big Ten play.
They both should be optimistic, but they're both introducing new attacking schemes. First, you have Jen Klein, the first-year coach at Michigan, and you've got Amy Burberry, who's in her 6th year with Indiana, but she's coming up with a bit of a new scheme on the attacking side as well. So it's a work in progress for both sides.
Well, that new style that you were talking about, let's focus on Michigan first, and one of their top players this year, Nikki Hernandez, was playing a different position last year against Indiana.
She was in the midfield, and that enabled her to come back and receive this. And how about this? Against Indiana, 1 goal all last season for Nikki Hernandez. This is the game she's scored in. She's facing Indiana again tonight. You saw how deep she got the ball in the defensive third. Well, see how she finishes in the final third right here. Again, her only goal of the season. She has scored in 5 of the first 7 matches this season.
That was a possession-oriented Michigan team from last year. As for Indiana, they have a senior having maybe her best year yet.
Annalie Leitner, she is an Austrian national. She adds sophistication to the attack, and you see that she can score goals. Big Ten Player of the Week off a pair of game winners on the road at Pepperdine.
Meeting about to get underway. You got Michigan and Indiana to begin Big Ten play. The kick is coming next.
It's back. And it's front. No, really. The Triple Double Crunchwrap $5 box is back. And it's still all mains, no sides, with 2 crunchy tacos and a medium soda. Just $5. Only at Taco Bell.
Big Ten soccer, we are moments away here between Michigan and Indiana. Let's take a look at the starting 11 for both of these teams, starting with the Michigan Wolverines, a 4-3-3 attack. And Michigan will be without Taylor Timko on the back line, so Samantha DeVecchi gets her 3rd start of the year.
Timko played in every match last year as a starter, 18 games, started 6 games this year. A slight injury against Central Michigan, nothing long-term. She'll be back soon.
Yeah, and Brooke Seeley, by the way, unavailable for Michigan as well tonight, out with an injury as well. So how about the Indiana Hoosiers? Abby Allen, what a senior year she is having, a team-high 5 goals.
Well, prior to her senior year, first 46 games as a member of the Indiana front line, 1 goal, 2 assists. In her first 7 games here in 18, 5 goals and 4 assists.
That's adding to this Indiana offense, a much improved Indiana offense, by the way. 19 attorneys from last year on this roster, 9 starters as well. And you're looking at Maya Piper, one of the seniors, one of those 8 seniors here on this team for the Indiana Hoosiers. Indiana comes in with a 4-1-2 non-conference record, facing a Michigan Wolverine team, 4-3 overall. And Michigan sitting in the road white jerseys, and Indiana in those candy stripe red jerseys, the crimson jerseys. And with these 2 different attacking styles, it's Michigan who is threatening here first. A nice placement into the box, the one touch, just like that. How about Riley Martin getting Michigan on the board first?
28 seconds in, and good composure in the area from Riley Martin, one of the veteran players for Michigan. She just takes a simple cut into the middle of the field where she eliminated the defender. And here we see the attacking portion of that started from the fullback side. And here's Riley Lynn and just slotting it past the keeper. And it's a great finish past Kopel. And how about that?
A Martin-to-Martin combination. And Riley Martin with her 4th goal of the year. Michigan just like that, jumping ahead. And again, we will talk about this, a different attacking style here for the Wolverines. Here's Martin again. There's an outside run by Yeka. Sura Yeka, they find her. And Sura Yeka, one of the players who's back for Michigan, she returns after injury. Number 9, there she is, playing on the back line for Michigan this year. She missed the last 8 games of 2017 because of an injury.
Well, just a shocking goal to start with, and here's Michigan once again.
Martin again, a wide open look. Can she get two? A save there on the goal line. And man, Indiana is going to get tested. Martin almost had back-to-back goals.
Well, weak side now, the weak side defender for Indiana, and it's Justine Lin. Both times is losing her spot a little bit. And wow, the 5-hole, but saving it off the line. Well done, Claudia Day, to prevent it from being 2-0 within the first 2 minutes of the game.
Now, Day, the grad transfer from Wake Forest. Bethany Copel getting the start in goal for Indiana. She leads the Big Ten coming into this game with 37 saves. She's going to be tested here again. 3 shots already for Michigan, resulting in 1 goal for the Wolverines.
Well, Riley again, and you see how narrow defensively Indiana is set up, and it's providing some space on the wide side, and the goal started from the right, Emma Cooper.
Michaela Brown finding Abby Allen on the right flank for the Hoosiers, and the Hoosiers now with their first opportunity in the attacking third. Out to the top of the 18. Towards the end line, that's Davidson. And Indiana's first true look.
Michaela Brown getting what was a very good look. Needs to get that on target, could not. And that started with Leitner in the midfield. She just kind of nestled in at the top of the box, playing with her back to the goal. Very good control to push it out wide. You see the keys to the match for Michigan. Defensive transition, well, they're setting up in a very big shape on the attacking side. So how they defend when they lose the ball, they're still working on that. It's something Jen Klein has attributed to some of the goals allowed this year.
Well, Michigan's 3 losses came right in a row. They snapped that in their last match against Central Michigan. Talk about offense. That was a 6-1 result for Michigan over the Chippewas, and Indiana scoring a lot too. And they couldn't score against Kansas State, which was their last match, but they got a 5-1 decision against Kentucky last week. And that Kansas State game played on this very field. You see how it's kind of chewed up a little bit on the near side there. Indiana and in Bloomington, as did a lot of the Midwest, got a lot of weather in that game, and the field was pretty tough to play on that Sunday against Kansas State.
Amy Burberry was telling us about how muddy and slick it was, and it's very tough on both sides of the ball, and ends up a scoreless draw, but the ball getting stuck on simple passes. It's hard to dribble in those conditions, and there's a pretty good look at how it's been chewed up with the recent weather.
Well, and Indiana, though, had plenty of chances, as you had pointed out. 27 shots between, 4 players in that game for the Hoosiers.
10 for Abby Allen. 10 shots on goal. That's significant, including with 30 seconds left. She had one close range, hit it right at the keeper.
One of the 2 draws on the year here for Indiana. Pressure being provided by Michaela Brown again.
Well, that ball back from Jada Dane to Izzy Nino, it was rather firm and off the short hop. I mean, Nino did well just to simply put it out into touch for the throw-in. A little too much pace for the goalkeeper on that one.
Justine Lin, she is a Michigan native. How do the Michigan Hawks play now against this Michigan Wolverine team? Standing at about 5'2", but Coach Burberry says that she plays like she stands about 5'8" or 5'9".
Well, I'd like to get some of that if I could. If you can get 4 inches just by how you approach the game, I like that. Wow, so that goal early on 28 seconds in. Emma Cooper, we probably didn't laud her enough on how she attacked. She had space, and she really drove the ball towards the back line for Indiana to unbalance them for the moment. And you called it, Lisa, the sister to the sister. How nice is that to open the Big Ten season for Michigan?
It's like they scripted it. Aaliyah Martin with the assist. That was her third of the year, finding older sis Riley for her fourth goal of the season. Here's Riley Martin again. Martin trying to take it and line. It's a loose ball in front of the net. And a whistle and an offside call.
Once again, though, that was Aaliyah Martin centrally pushing it wide left for Riley Martin. And a lot of space out left. So the determination there for Amy Burberry and the coaching staff is, do they continue to give Riley Martin all that space to really make decisions, drive towards the byline, and put those dangerous balls in front?
Already a couple of shot attempts. She's got 2 of the 3 for Michigan here early. And here's Sarah Stratigakis, number 8 in white for Michigan. A sophomore, had a really fantastic freshman season last year. Was on the all-freshman team. Actually one of 3 players to start all 18 matches for Michigan.
I saw Sarah Stratigakis play when she was 13 years old. She was playing 3 years up and was just a little pipsqueak in the midfield, and she handled it. She's a tough kid, but her greatest asset is her soccer sense, great vision, and I'm sure before the end of the day we'll see some penetrating passes that not all players can play in the Big Ten.
Picked up 3 points against Central Michigan in the last match that Michigan played, including a game-winning goal and an assist in that game.
Work together here to get it back.
Earlier this year, she had a game-tying goal against Marquette, but second on the team in points this year. Here's Michigan on the attack once again, and that is DeVecchi, who is pushing up, again getting her 3rd start, outside right back position for the Wolverines tonight.
Well, that's one of the areas where we expect to see the fullbacks, and that's one of the changes for Michigan this year on the attacking side, is the fullbacks will hopefully for Jen Klein's sake, as she sets it up, will attack with a fury on both the left and the right. And if they do it the way Coach Klein would like, they'll both get in at the same time and leave the 2 center backs by themselves with a holding midfielder.
There's a look at Jen Klein. Welcome to the Big Ten. In year number 1 with the Michigan Wolverines, has primarily been a West Coast Mountain Standard Time kind of coach. She played at Arizona, graduated in 2006, and then stops at Washington State, Arizona, USC as an assistant. She spent a couple years as the head coach at UNLV.
And those 2 years as the head of the program have is certainly a portion of what has prepared her for this job at Michigan. When you're the head coach, you've got to manage all aspects of the program, so that experience will be vital for her. And
the style of play is something that you will see will be the change from a Greg Ryan coach Michigan team to a Jen Klein coach team. We showed you at the beginning with this player right here, and Nikki Hernandez, and the fact that they built up to the attack last year under Greg Ryan. I mean, that the video that we showed you with the Hernandez goal, there were, what, 11 or 12 passes within that same possession for Michigan last season. Right, and one of the factors, though, with the attack this year is that there will be a bigger shape, which will, again, provide those difficulties off the counter, leaving the 2 center backs essentially by themselves. Abby Allen back out to Brown, and Indiana will try to reset, and they'll send it in by Lynn. And that's the risk. You know, you put your fullbacks in, you're going to get a lot of service. And you saw DeVecchi get in earlier on an overload where there was 2v1 on that weak side up on the right of your screen. And so far, Michigan has played it well. Emma Cooper nicely played a through ball as Riley Martin, again, with all kinds of space, runs on. Plays it back to Yeka. So here, Yeka didn't overlap Riley Martin. She wasn't tight enough to her to do that, but she provided a supporting position. And then here's a really good ball by Emma Cooper in behind the defense. Now, Riley Martin just pauses, and there's the supporting fullback, and that's so important to
this attacking scheme this year for Michigan.
That's the second or third time, really, that we brought up Emma Cooper's name, and you brought it up in the fact that you might not see her stats-wise, but in terms of creating chances, she has given Michigan some pretty good looks.
Well, on that occasion, an inside dribble, which is sometimes hard to defend, too. The fullback on that side is not sure whether to stay with her or pass her on to a center back or a holding midfielder. And the weak side defender, though, Justine Lin, has struggled a bit here in the early stages. That one, she took a step forward, and it got in behind her.
Indiana with the takeaway. They were looking for Maya Piper. Piper, a senior, preseason Big Ten honors list for the Hoosiers. Plays that 9 position, and you will see her, though, come back to the midfield if need be for Indiana.
Well, I think one thing Indiana is going to have to consider if Riley Martin continues to be forceful on the attacking side on that left wing for Michigan is drop into a twin 6 or 2 holding midfielders in order to allow either Justine Lin or one of the holders to pop out there and defend Riley a little bit sooner.
Here's DeVecchi again pushing up. Samantha DeVecchi, a sophomore, no goals, no assists on this year, but here's the counterattack going the other way. It's Davidson for Indiana, as she had Piper again in the box. Michaela Brown will keep it, has some space, let it fly a little bit. And Yeka closed the door. Brown again. So Michaela Brown working a little bit.
Well, Brown took a shot with her left foot at the top of the box, which was nearly impossible. It wasn't going to get through those 2 players, but she managed to chase it down, cut it back, and there with a delayed run in the box is Leitner, and that's one of the reasons she scores goals. She comes out of the midfield, delays it a little bit, unmarked, but that one she couldn't put on frame.
And here's the freshman, Janice Joyner, 24, from Michigan, one of the center backs. She pairs up now with Jada Dane. Jada Dane playing in her 2nd game back after injury. And Janice Joyner has been a really nice addition for Michigan back there.
Yeah, they've relied on her heavily. She's played all but 33 minutes this season.
On the attack, Stratigakis into the box. And a nice hard tackle, a dual 1 there by Dreher.
That's a fantastic tackle in a tough spot. She was pretty much isolated and timed it so well. And that's an example of a Stratigakis ball in behind, trying to get the proper weight on there, but a little too close to goal for that to happen.
Amy Burberry in her 6th year at Indiana. You see her record with Indiana, but the 4-1-2 non-conference might be flirting with a record that she had her first season in Bloomington, where the team finished 15-7-1, above 500 in the Big Ten. They got to the Big Ten tournament as one of the top seeds and made it to the NCAAs that year. Was named the head coach in 2013, and after that first year, she got a 5-year contract. And time flies. Year number 5 will be after the 2019 season.
It has flown by, and along the way, and with the way recruiting is these days, especially on the women's side, where you're 2 and 3 years ahead, some freshmen committing, sophomores committing. It's a slow build. It's a process sometimes. And I think both teams, even though this is Burberry's 6th season, it's been a process. This is a huge year for the program. And then you've got Jen Klein on the other side in her first year. And she talked about USC. She was an associate there for 6 seasons, won a national championship in 2016. How? She said the school allowed it to be a process. They took their time. They found the right players, the right people. And that's where administrators have to be patient sometimes. Unlike the EPL or other European leagues.
Well, the class of 2015 are her seniors really now, and her first full recruiting class now that she has here on this roster. And after that first year, they had lost 13 players, a foul committed there by Michigan and Riley Martin. But they had lost 13 players after year number 1. Here's another look at Martin.
This is called getting sandwiched. And the initial hit by Riley Martin.
Got to keep your Rileys and Aaliyahs straight when you're talking Michigan soccer.
How about their mom? Their mom went to Indiana, so I wonder how she's doing today.
I believe Dad went to Purdue, so.
Yeah, so.
No one associated with the Mitten State in that family except for the 2 daughters. They swing it out wide. This is Emma Cooper again. And the save there by Kopel.
Good shot by Emma Cooper. Now, she was forced to the inside by the fullback, Dreher. See how she's forced to the inside? And the center back is there, or the holding midfielder, Allie Jordan. And she still managed to squeeze the shot through. And that's a good save by Kopel, as it turns out. Allie Jordan, though, she needs to be stronger and step in and block that shot. She was in a good cover position, but she still allowed Cooper to get a clean shot off.
Well, the post isn't her friend.
No.
Cooper's friend. No, it's not. Well, Kopel, as I had mentioned, leads the Big Ten in saves, but that can be a good and a not-so-good thing when you're a keeper, right?
Well, she did last year as well, and that was due to an assault of shots on goal along the way. And this year, due to some of the competition, and I think more so the risk of going forward, more numbers are going forward for Indiana. That's the plan. And what's going to happen there is you're going to give up more shots. And what Amy Burberry said is she hopes most of those shots are even off of crossing balls or from distance. And that's where you see how they're set up defensively.
Kopel is forced to make about 5 saves per game. That's her average in non-conference play. Here's DeVecchi again. The cross pass to Martin.
Good job, Justin.
And Riley Martin up against Lynn. Michigan with 4 shots, 3 of them on goal, and attacking here again.
Come to it.
Good 3-player combination a moment ago from Michigan in that final third, started by Stratigakis, getting into the target player, who then lays it off to Riley Martin out wide left. And again, there's Stratigakis finding that entrance ball, working off of it and giving the target player choices. Hernandez could have gone right or left with it.
Here's Allison Jordan, number 14. Starting this attack, the cut back for Maya Piper. Back to Jordan. Nice to have Allison Jordan back. She missed last year because of injury. A goal and an assist here in 2018. And a corner kick here for Indiana. Set pieces will be key for the Hoosiers tonight.
Well, 4 of their last 7 goals this season have come off of set pieces, including corner kicks. And then a moment ago, talked about the numbers in the attack. That's been something, Amy Burberry said, I'm frustrated. We're not getting forward enough. We're not scoring enough goals. So she changed things up this fall.
Dreher. And the one touch, it's loose. Brown couldn't get quite to it. Well, the set piece situation, yeah, Amy Burberry had said, we're the underdogs, so you got to put the emphasis on set pieces.
And they got a clean look at goal off of this corner kick. Good movement. And the volley off the short hop, taken by Davidson. And Michigan did well to get numbers close to the goal, but Davidson did well to explode to it and get the first touch.
So Indiana slowly creeping up and trying to even it out in terms of shot attempts. Michigan still with the 4. Indiana now has improved to 3 shot attempts. That was their first corner kick opportunity. Izzy Nino is your keeper for Michigan. Long range, 6'1", great in the air. Filling in for Hillary Beal. They thought Beal would be their starter, but she was out training with the U20 U.S. team and got injured during that training session during that time. Here is Hernandez. Haven't called her name, but the combination, Hernandez chases it down in the box to the top of the 6.
And who's in the middle of it again? Strategakis. Played the 1-2, got into the area.
And this time it'll be Michigan's first corner.
So here you draw the defender. So there the defenders engage. Hernandez did so well. That's when she plays the ball into Strategakis, right back to Hernandez, and she whips it across the top of the 6. It's behind her teammates, but well constructed, just couldn't get the finished product.
Riley Martin. And a goal for Michigan. Strategakis getting it. Wolverines now up 2-0.
Well, she's a 2-footed player, is Sarah Strategakis. And you see where this came from. So this one played short. She's just settling up at the corner of the box. Not well defended, but perfectly placed shot. You had the defenders on the line with the keeper there. And unfortunately for Indiana, Caroline Dreher couldn't elevate enough to get anything on that. And what a strike. What a goal for Strategakis.
Her 5th of the year. Sarah Strategakis I mentioned she had 3 points against Central Michigan, so just adding to that. In fact, we talked so much about Hernandez, but it was Riley Martin and Strategakis picked up a lot of points in that Central Michigan match. And they're just adding to it here in game number 1 of the conference season.
When you defend corner kicks, Lisa, sometimes your tendency is just to drop way in towards goal and prepare for the service. And Indiana, they may have fallen asleep a little bit on that side where Strategakis just was sitting at the corner of the box. I mean, she's a goal scorer. You have to step up on her and not allow her to take that clean shot. That was uncontested. Great finish, but little pressure.
You can make the argument that both goals tonight for Michigan have really been kind of uncontested.
Yeah, the one weak side defender, Justine Lin, who may have been more ball watching, giving Riley Martin a lot of space and the opportunity to cut in and finish with her right. But two good finishes. One slotted by Riley, and you just saw the one by Strategakis.
Well, as good as Indiana has been offensively, they lead the Big Ten in several different offensive categories. Amy Burberry will be the first to tell you that we have been struggling defensively. They had even moved back Caroline Dreher, mentioned the traditional center midfielder for Indiana, moved her back to the back line, trying a lot of different combinations back there, trying something that would work here at the start of conference play. Here's Joyner. Has started every game so far this year as that freshman playing on the back line, and her head coach, Jen Klein, has said she's been playing beyond her years. Now to the right side, DeVecchi. Cooper again. And we will have one more corner coming up for the Wolverines.
Cooper doing well to draw the corner kick. I think you look at both sides. They're both playing out of a 4-3-3. They're both playing with 2 attacking midfielders rather than 2 holders or an offset triangle with a clear 10, 8, and 6. But you've got the difference, I think, Strategakis, who's a real playmaker in the center of the park for Michigan.
It'll be Martin taking it this time, but a much different look. Finds the head, though, at the top of the 6. And Sammy Atterbury might have been the one who got it.
So this service by Martin towards the top of the 6, and
that was Megan Scott.
A little wide of the target.
Or Sydney Shepard, excuse me, getting her head on it. Sydney Shepard only playing in her 2nd game this year for Michigan. Getting some playing time early here in this first half. Reminds you that in college soccer, you do have the re-entry rule in the second half, but once you're out in the first half, you're out for the remainder of the first half.
Yeah, as a coach on any level, you have to manage a game. But in college, you really prepare. You try to prepare for all the different circumstances, how you're going to work the first half. And a lot of times you'll just recognize maybe who was the most effective in the first half if you make substitutions, and that might play a role in how you deal with the personnel in the second half. It's all about management.
Sydney Shepard, no goals, no assists, no shots, by the way, this year, and just playing in just her 2nd game. And how about opening it up here in conference play?
Cooper and Riley Martin have switched sides of the field. Cooper's down on the left, Riley Martin on the right. Whether that was an instruction for the sideline or they've just interchanged during the run of play, it does give the fullbacks on either side a little bit different look, and that's one of the reasons you make change.
And the foul called there on Surayeka. So Michigan has Yeka back on the back line. They have Jada Dane back on the back line, though they have lost Taylor Timko for tonight. It's nice to have those additions back this year. A look at Izzy Nino.
You brought up Hillary Beal, too, Lisa, the backup keeper, the under-20 keeper. It was the day before World Cup rosters on the U20 level were frozen that she tore her MCL the day before. So what could happen is, and what did happen is, she was replaced on the roster. So she lost a chance to go to France and be a part of the team. She was the number 3 keeper at the time, so her likelihood of playing limited, but just to be there and experience that. And those international experiences, it's you can't measure them. Plus, she was such an important part of the team from a teammate point of view.
Both Beal and Nino are sophomores on this Michigan squad. And Beal started 6 matches and 7 appearances last year. Played against 3 ranked opponents, so she got a lot of quality playing time for Michigan in 2017. She's a player, though, that aspires to play professionally if she can get that chance. Did get the opportunity to play in Prague for the U19 squad. And Martin switched back to the left side, at least on that possession.
So Michigan, when they get close to the Indiana goal and they're in that final 30 yards, 25 yards, they've been very good in terms of their movement off the ball. And what you're trying to do at that end of the field in order to get behind a compact defense is somehow unbalance them. As Indiana has stayed compact, the ball's been played wide, and Michigan has gotten chances. On the inside dribble, that's when they've really had a chance to unbalance, or through combination play. And they've provided a variety of things to Indiana, which the Hoosiers have had difficulty dealing with.
Strategakis subbed out, and it'll be the first time we look at the freshman Meredith Hawkinson, number 7 for Michigan. Faith Harper also in for the Wolverines. About 15 more minutes to play. Happy to bring you the very start here of conference play between Michigan and Indiana. This will be one of 2 games that we'll show you on the Big Ten Network tonight. And And all 10 of the other Big Ten teams will open up conference play tomorrow.
Yeah, you build up to this moment. We've got the first women's Big Ten game. Is that correct?
I just said that.
Oh, okay.
We do. You are correct, Glenn.
Well, sometimes I listen to you, sometimes I don't, Lisa.
You know what? It's optional. I support you in that. Here's Caroline Dreyer. Another corner kick opportunity for Indiana. A nice ball to the top of the 6. Hoosiers couldn't quite get to it.
Well, one of the reasons Indiana is good on set pieces and corners, and you'll see they drive it right into the area, nothing fancy, is that when they've got their tall guns in there, they average about 5'9", 5'10" in height with the majority of the players that they put in front of the goal. So that in itself is difficult to deal with. And if you get the first ball, then the second ball sometimes can cause havoc.
A throw-in coming up for Indiana.
The band is getting it done.
Yeah,
I mean,
good energy for this field. And another corner kick.
so this is important for Indiana. A chance for them to get back into it. They're down 2. We're still in the first half. Everything's manageable. But if you can get one back off a set piece, which might be, when we look at it right now, their best chance here in this first half. See what happens.
Third corner kick opportunity for a team that averages just over 5 per game. Get another crack at it. Indiana tries to send it back in. Well, we talked about this is the first of 2 that we'll show you. Next on BTN, the soccer doubleheader continues with the Spartans against the Boilermakers. Women's soccer, that's coming up next right here on BTN. And, of course, streaming live on the Fox Sports app. Dean Linke and Jackie Manny are toiling away as we speak, getting ready for that one. It's a Purdue team, awfully young. They start 8 freshmen this year. That's after being awfully young last year.
Well, impressive. They handed Louisville their first loss of the season earlier, 2-1. It's a good side of Purdue.
Michaela Brown having a heck of a time to turn. Here's Jordan.
Michigan State with a positive result at Washington, a 1-1 draw, which is a difficult place to play. So look forward to that one.
And the Big Ten actually showing well in non-conference play. Some very good non-conference wins, 6 wins and a couple of draws against some really good top 25 competition. Just recently, yeah, you mentioned that Purdue beat Louisville. But then you have Ohio State beating Florida. You have Penn State beating West Virginia. Illinois beating Duke, by the way. Ranked 3rd at the time.
That was the first week of the season. And don't forget Nebraska at NC State winning 2-1. NC State, one of the new up-and-coming teams from the ACC. Great year last year. And nationally ranked and one of the better teams in the ACC.
Some physical play towards the end of the first half, and that foul committed as Abby Castrol went tumbling to the turf. Castrol getting her first few minutes, and she was injured a couple of matches ago and did not play in that Central Michigan game for Michigan. In fact, it was Castrol and Taylor Timko and Brooke Seeley, who we won't see tonight. They all were injured in that Florida Gulf Coast game.
I wasn't quite sure what we were going to see from Michigan today. They had 3 consecutive losses, but to good programs. Louisville at home. Michigan was home with that loss. Then at Wake Forest, at Florida Gulf Coast. Wake Forest, they could have scored a couple in the first half. They ended up losing 4-0, but played very well in the first half. So I think that's part of the growth of the team under a new coach and trying to figure out exactly what the expectations are.
Riley Martin, one of the goal scorers for Michigan, will get a break here in the final 10 minutes. Indiana sending it in. Katie Fogue coming in to replace Riley Martin for Michigan, a former walk-on. In the 2016, she's got a great story. A former walk-on in the spring season of 2016 is now playing with just the club soccer team. Had a goal and 3 assists last year. If you're paying attention to your campus and some of your athletes, if you're a head coach, you might find a couple of gems.
I used to go to the club training sessions and games when I could at Rutgers, and you're right. And normally you do that when you've had like 6 or 7 injuries and your roster's starting to thin out a bit. So instead of going to the cafeteria, I went to the club practice.
Good strategy on your part.
Yeah,
There's
thanks.
14, Katie Folk. How will Rutgers be this year, by the way? They've always been one of the tops in the Big Ten.
I expect the same this year, and they'll open up against Nebraska, who we just talked about, tomorrow night in Piscataway, and it's a typical team in terms of really keeps the ball and can control the game. And with Rutgers this year, I think it's going to be all about the finishing touch.
Penn State and Ohio State also open up tomorrow. In-state college, that's certainly one to watch. You got the defending Big Ten champs in Ohio State and the preseason favorites in Penn State. Penn State just picked as the favorite every year since, what, 2003. Just another successful soccer season for the Nittany Lions. Here is Harper. And Yeka chases it down.
One thing you see, Nikki Hernandez, you'll see her drop into the midfield quite often, and she's very comfortable there because she was a midfielder in her freshman year at the University of Michigan. And the reason she's playing up top, certainly one of the reasons, is in the spring, and Jen Klein had accepted the position by then, but in the spring, they needed somebody up top for a spring game, so they just pushed her up there. And she was so good that their plan was, coming into 2018, that Nikki Hernandez was going to be their striker, and she's produced pretty well.
I would say so. 6 goals, 4 assists. Leads the Big Ten in 16 points already this year. That's tied for 7th best in the country.
But what's nice there, too, is the relationship she could have with the midfielders like Aaliyah Martin or Sarah Stratigakis. Stratigakis out of the game at this moment, but when she checks into the midfield, who's making that run in behind? It's something to continue to watch as the Michigan plan develops. And that really is difficult to defend, that midfielder coming out. And there's Hernandez there. Very comfortable up top, but she can make it happen in the midfield turn and deliver there.
The turn and face for Castrol. Abby Castrol is senior. Goal and an assist this year. Indiana looking to try to build something. When you talk about the position switch for Hernandez, in your opinion, is it easy to go from midfield to striker versus the other way around for a player typically?
I think it's a little more difficult to go to striker because...
A nice through ball. Here's Castrol trying to chase it on.
The difficulty is at striker, you're playing more with your back to the goal, blind to what's behind you. When you're in the midfield, you can position yourself so you're seeing a little bit more of what's happening. So they're in some ways dramatically different positions what you have to deal with. And another ball in behind Indiana, in between the defenders. And this is interesting because Indiana is trying to set up very compact and not allow that kind of service. So Michigan has done well with the variety again. Wide, in between, over the top. We've seen it all different ways.
And they lead 2-0. There's Yeka on the ground. Goal in the first minute. That was a Martin-to-Martin connection for Michigan. And then off of the corner, Sarah Strategakis was sitting short corner and left all alone. And those are the 2 goals that we have so far in this first half. Michigan with a 6-5 shot advantage against Indiana.
All right, here we go.
One player I thought we'd see a little bit more into the attack on the flank, and she's been there, but not as often as I thought, is Sarah Yeka, the left back, and I know she is thirsty to get more forward again this year. She's an excellent attacking fullback, but has only no goals and 1 assist in her 35 career appearances before this match. So she's still developing into that fullbacks getting forward sort of method.
Looking to take on is Melody Forbes, one of the subs for Indiana. Mentioned the 5 shots for the Hoosiers, 3 of the 5 coming from Leitner.
There's Yeka, and she'd like a drink of water.
She'll get one in just about 3 minutes and 44 seconds. And Yeka, another player involved with the U20, this time with the Canadian national team, played there in 2016. All Big Ten freshman team in 2015. She's had to deal with some injuries, in particular last year. And this was actually a Michigan team that dealt with a lot of injuries at one point late in the season last year.
I think she's got a chance to be a significant player one day on the senior team in Canada.
Fogue. Back to Castrol. Here's Hernandez. A couple of shots for Riley Martin already for Michigan. Emma Cooper with a couple of shots. And no registered shots right now for Nikki Hernandez in this first half.
One of the things Yeka has learned so well is the organization at the back. When to tuck in. You can see she's been very good on defending weak side. If Indiana has the ball on the left, she's aware of what's going on in front of her, to the left of her. But I think what Jen Klein wants from Yeka as time goes on is to take a few more risks in getting forward. And these 2 center backs, it's Dane and Joyner. That's probably, as long as they stay healthy, that's going to be the pair at the back. They're going to have to put up with some counterattack situations and deal with it, along with the holding midfielder, Cal Gagno.
Whistle and a foul. Cameron Carty whistled for it, number 30 there for Indiana.
Well, you want your striker to work hard and defend, because if she could win that ball in that part of the field, now look how close Indiana is to the Michigan goal, and it's one of the reasons you apply pressure at the appropriate times.
A direct ball up to Hawkinson. Hawkinson still has it. Up against Nemeth. Meredith Hawkinson, one of the freshmen, trying to hunt down her first goal.
And there's just a little move by Yeka, just a little deceptive move to get it to the inside where she had space to deliver the pass to Hawkinson. And Hawkinson just simply couldn't get the hips behind her. Best choice there may have been just to cut it back against the grain. And in all likelihood, Nemeth would have maybe been a little unbalanced, and now you've got to pick and choose your spot as to where you want to deliver the next pass.
Meredith Hawkinson, talented player coming out of Minnesota, a 2-time Minnesota Gatorade Player of the Year. And the Class 2A Minnesota Miss Soccer. 20 seconds before the half. And Leitner has been active again, the 3 shots, 3 of the 5 for Indiana in this first half.
But I'd have to say, I don't know, I remember 2 of the 3 shots. They weren't shots of a high percentage. more, I wouldn't say out of frustration, but just trying to get something on goal for Indiana here in the first half.
And so a 2-0 advantage here for Michigan against Indiana on the road, leading here at halftime. As we bring in the first-year Wolverine head coach, Jen Klein. And Coach, how satisfied, leading 2-0, how satisfied were you with your execution of the couple of chances that you got?
Yeah, I think it's great. We talked about it before the game, just starting fast, and I think we did that. The girls turned to me and said, was that fast enough for you? So very happy with it.
What aspect of the attack are you most happy with? I mean, you got in their end quite a bit, and we're pretty composed.
Yeah, I think, a big thing, we're always talking about valuing the ball and just keeping possession, and I think we're moving the ball quite nicely. I still think we can find moments to look to switch the point a little bit quicker.
Okay, Coach, thank you for the time.
You're welcome.
Jen Klein coaching in her first Big Ten game, and just 1 half away from picking up her first Big Ten win. Michigan here at the half leading Indiana 2-0 from Bloomington.